Alien invasion. What humanity should do and how to resist. Science fiction writers and filmmakers have explored various scenarios of what might happen if intelligent beings from another planet or solar system decided to attack our world, ending life as we know it. But how realistic are these scenarios? And more importantly, how would we cope with the shock and fear of encountering an unknown and potentially hostile intelligence? How would we coordinate our response and cooperate with each other across nations and cultures? How would we preserve our values and identity as a species? How do we know about an invasion? One of the first questions that arises is how would we detect and identify an alien spacecraft approaching Earth? According to Dr. Seth Shostak, a senior astronomer at the SETI Institute, the most likely way to spot an alien ship would be through radio signals or optical telescopes. He says that if they are coming here in a rocket, chances are they are making a lot of noise, so we would see them either in the radio or in the optical part of the spectrum. However, he also warns that if they are coming here in something more exotic, like a wormhole or a warp drive, then we might not have any advanced notice at all. Another question is how would we communicate with the aliens and try to establish peaceful contact? Dr. Douglas Wacock, the president of METI, a group that actively sends messages to outer space, believes that we should try to send signals that convey our curiosity and willingness to learn from them. He says that we need to show them we are interested in them as individuals, not just as a source of information. We need to ask them questions about themselves, their history, their culture, their values. He also suggests that we should use mathematics, music, and art as universal languages that could bridge the gap between us and them. However, not everyone agrees that we should try to communicate with aliens at all. Some experts argue that doing so could expose us to great danger and invite an attack. For example, Professor Stephen Hawking famously warned that if aliens visit us, the outcome would be much as when Columbus landed in America, which didn't turn out well for the Native Americans. He also compared aliens to nomads who would exploit our resources and move on. He advised that we only have to look at ourselves to see how intelligent life might develop into something we wouldn't want to meet. If communication fails or is not possible, and the aliens turn out to be hostile, how could we fight back and defend ourselves? This is perhaps the most difficult and uncertain question of all. Some experts suggest that we could use our existing military technology and weapons to try to repel or destroy the invaders. For example, Dr. Michio Kaku, a theoretical physicist and futurist, says that we have enough nuclear weapons to deter any possible invasion. He also proposes that we could use lasers, railguns, and missiles to attack the alien ships. However, other experts doubt that our weapons would be effective against a technologically superior enemy. They point out that any civilization capable of interstellar travel would have far more advanced technology than ours and could easily overcome our defenses. For example, Dr. Paul Davies, a cosmologist and astrobiologist, says that it's very unlikely that we could match their technology in any way. They would probably have force fields, cloaking devices, anti-gravity devices, and so on. He also speculates that they could use nanotechnology or biotechnology to unleash deadly viruses or nanobots on us. In addition to the technological challenges, there are also physiological and social challenges that we would face in an alien invasion scenario. How would we cope with the shock and fear of encountering an unknown and potentially hostile intelligence? How would we coordinate our response and cooperate with each other across nations and cultures? How would we preserve our values and identity as a species? These are some of the questions that we would have to answer as a civilization. What to do and how to fight scenario number 1. Their own Earth-like planet was destroyed. What if aliens weren't very different from us? What if they had a similar biology, psychology, and culture, but their home planet was destroyed by a natural or man-made catastrophe? They might be looking for a new place to live, and Earth might seem like a perfect candidate. They might not care about existing inhabitants, or they might see us as inferior or hostile. They might try to wipe us out, enslave us, or assimilate us into their society. How to cope? In this scenario, we might have a chance to communicate with the aliens and appeal their empathy and reason. We might try to convince them that we are not a threat, that we have something valuable to offer, or that we can coexist peacefully. We might also try to learn from their technology and culture and use it to our advantage. We might form alliances with other human groups or even other alien factions that oppose the invaders. We might resist their domination or infiltration using guerrilla tactics or sabotage. We might also try to preserve our own culture and identity by creating underground communities or hidden sanctuaries. Scenario number 2. natural resources that support carbon-based life. If there's one thing more rare in the universe than gold and diamonds, it's life. Life requires certain conditions and elements that are not easy to find in the vastness of space. Carbon, oxygen, water, nitrogen, phosphorus, and other essential ingredients for life are scarce and precious. If aliens are also carbon-based life forms, they might be interested in harvesting these resources from Earth, either for their own survival or for trade with other civilizations. They might not care about the ecological consequences of their actions, or they might see us as competitors or pests. How to cope? In this scenario, we might have little hope of negotiating with the aliens or convincing them to spare us. They might see us as nothing more than aliens or plants that can be exploited or exterminated. We might try to hide or escape from their harvesting machines or ships, or we might try to fight back using whatever weapons or tools we have. We might also try to protect our environment and resources by creating barriers or traps, or by sabotaging their equipment or operations. We might also try to find alternative sources of energy or materials that are less attractive to the aliens. Scenario number 3. Dominance. Some aliens might not have any specific reason for invading Earth other than their desire for power and glory. They might be motivated by curiosity, boredom, pride, greed, or malice. They might see us as a challenge, a game, a trophy, or a nuisance. They might want to conquer us, enslave us, experiment on us, torture us, or simply destroy us for fun. How to cope? In this scenario, we might have no chance of reasoning with the aliens or appealing to their emotions. They might see us as inferior beings that deserve no respect or mercy. We might try to hide or flee from their attacks or raids, or we might try to resist them using whatever means we have. We might also try to find their weaknesses or vulnerabilities and exploit them whenever possible. We might also try to create distractions or diversions that could buy us some time or space. Scenario number 4. They might be looking for a planetary zoo. Some aliens might not be hostile or malicious towards us, but rather curious and benevolent. They might see us as an interesting species that deserves study and preservation. They might want to collect us and put us in a zoo-like environment, where they can observe us and learn from us. They might also want to protect us from other threats or dangers that could harm us. Aliens might have advanced technology and knowledge that allows them to create a simulated environment for us, where we can live and interact with each other, unaware of our true situation. They might also have ethical or moral reasons to preserve us as a rare and valuable life form. How to cope? One option is to accept it, try to make the best of it. We might still have some freedom and autonomy within the simulation, or we might be able to learn from the aliens or communicate with them. We might also benefit from their protection and care, as they would ensure for survival and well-being. We might even develop a friendly or respectful relationship with them over time. Another option is to resist it and try to escape or fight back. We might be able to detect some flaws or glitches in the simulation, or find some hidden clues or messages from other humans who have tried to rebel. We might also be able to use our creativity and ingenuity to devise some strategies or weapons that could surprise or challenge the aliens. We might also be able to form alliances or coalitions with other species or civilizations that are also in the zoo or that are opposed to the aliens' actions. Ultimately, the choice between acceptance and resistance depends on our values and preferences as humans. Some of us might prefer to live in peace and harmony with the aliens, while others might prefer to maintain our dignity and freedom as a sovereign species. There is no right or wrong answer, but rather a trade-off between different costs and benefits. An alien invasion is a hypothetical but plausible scenario that poses many challenges and risks for humanity. We do not know if or when it will happen, but we should be prepared for it as much as possible. We should try to detect and communicate with any alien visitors peacefully if possible, but also be ready to defend ourselves if necessary. We should also remember that we are not alone in this universe, and that we have the responsibility to protect our planet and our future. This was what we know about this topic. Do let us know what you think about this in the comments.
With so many conspiracy theories out there, it's hard to keep track of them all. Welcome to What We Know, where we try to uncover the histories and mysteries of the world by presenting all different theories out there, and the only narrative we push is this. Here's what we know, make up your own mind.
If you enjoy this video and want to see more like it, please consider subscribing to us and hitting the like button. Feel free to write a comment below and suggest which theory you want to see next. If you'd like to further support this channel, please consider joining. Our membership link will be found in the description box below. We appreciate your support, and as always, thanks for watching.